content. Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady, where I help home business owners win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish. And when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to the home business community. And today I want to talk about something new that's coming out on the tax streets. We're talking about tax refugees, okay? Who knew that there was a such thing as tax refugees, okay? When we think refugees, we think people that are escaping a war-torn land and are trying to get to safety. But now we got tax refugees. So what is that? Well, with the new tax reform that really just came in full swing January 1, 2018, there is a limitation on state and local tax deductions, okay? So at one point, you could deduct a whole bunch. Now it's limited to $10,000. So that means that prior to that, you could deduct your state income tax was deducted from your federal return. If you had property taxes, excise taxes, like for your cars and whatnot, all of that was deductible. Well, now all of that is limited to $10,000. And people that are in high property tax states are really having a fit. Okay. So places like in the New England area, New York, California, people that have high property taxes are really going to be suffering because that limitation is at $10,000. I mean, I've seen people here in the New England area that pay $10,000 just in freaking state income tax, and they didn't even look at their property taxes yet. So nuts and bolts is that $10,000 limitation really caused some heartburn for folk, and with good reason. So now what's happening is lower property tax states are now starting to woo these people from these higher property tax areas. So we're talking about like the Wall Street type folk. There's actually a story I read where I don't know what kind of Wall Street person, whatever he did, but the fact is that he moved his business from New York to Florida because of these property taxes. And a lot more states that have low property taxes are starting to say, hey, you can come live here and pay lower property taxes and you won't lose out so much. And it's probably cheaper to live. So here's the outlook for that. So the states that have lower property taxes, you're going to start to see an influx of people, right? They're going to be people who are moving from these higher property tax states to lower property tax states. That's going to mean that companies are moving as well. Now, if a company moves from one state to another, what does that mean? 9 times out of 10, that's going to mean a loss of jobs. So where one state's going to lose jobs, another state is going to gain them. But, and so for you, even as a home business owner, depending on where you live and how your business is set up, this might even be something that you can consider, right? Because if you look at having the same amount of house, but it costs you less in another state and your business won't be affected by moving, it might be something to consider. And just the fact that it's warmer. Okay. But that's just a personal, that's just a personal aside for me. All right. But yeah, I was just seeing, not necessarily even warmer, but I was just seeing where states like Wyoming and Tennessee, we already know states in the South are generally cheaper to live. States like Florida that have no income tax. So all of these things, as a big picture are really, people that are living in these higher property tax states are really starting to take a look at relocating to southern states just because of the money, because it's cheaper. And so if what you do isn't going to be affected by the location, then guess what? It makes all the sense in the world. But the overall impact on the states and the communities, that's something that's going to remain to be seen. Because remember, even with these corporate tax cuts where people were like, the corporations are going to have more money, they're going to hire more workers. That's not happening. Okay. So you already have people, what these companies are doing, they're investing in automation. So you already have people that are being automated out of a job. Okay. It's not freaking immigrants or any of that crap. It's automation. So corporations are investing in automation to increase their efficiency, lower their expenses. And yeah, that's going to put some people out of a job. And if you have these companies who are moving from these higher income tax states, higher property tax states to lower property tax states, guess what? That's going to mean a loss of jobs too. So if you look at it overall, this can be a really perfect storm of, of stuff that's going to be really happening to working class people. Guys, like seriously, I even read an article where Harley Davidson, they're moving part of their manufacturing to Thailand, right? So, like I said, these corporations that are coming into this windfall because of this corporate tax reduction, this 21%, it really is not, it's not trickling down. So the overall outlook, when you start putting all of this stuff together, it's really not working out for working class people. So just to let you know that, if you have a job or if you are in the finance industry, you need to be talking to your people, talking to your clients and saying, hey, what's going on in your industry, or even what's going on, right? Do your research and really be an advisor to your people so that they can really start making better financial decisions for themselves. Because see, it's stuff like this that really isn't on the news that people don't hear about until it's too late. The other battle when it comes down to these corporate taxes is out in places like Seattle that just enacted this head tax. So with that is I think it's $275 per employee. And that's a tax that corporations that have over 20 million in gross sales that they have to pay per employee. And companies are ticked. And so Amazon, which is out in Seattle, okay, they're already shopping for their new headquarters. So the folks in Seattle, the Seattle City Council was like, okay, well, you guys at Amazon, you guys just got all of this money based on these tax cuts, so this should not be an issue for you. But really, you can't tell corporations how to spend their money. So then if you have, and this is purely hypothetical, but this is how you need to think, okay? So if you have a city like Seattle saying, okay, you're going to pay us $275 a head, and they're like, okay, cool, we just won't hire no more heads. Or better yet, I'll just go somewhere else where I don't have to pay that. Because that's what cities do to bring jobs to an area. They offer these tax benefits, these tax cuts, so you don't have to pay these taxes, or they reduce their taxes so that they will, lure these larger companies to the area. So yeah, so just, when you're looking at your overall financial outlook, okay, it's not just about taxes, but taxes, as you can see, plays a huge part in your financial life. All right. So as you go forward, look at what's happening in your industry. Like not every industry would be affected, right? Because what's working in one place isn't going to work in another. Okay. But look at what's going on in your industry and really start to think about how these things are going to affect you. And that way you can make better planning decisions with your finances in order to prepare just in case, you do go to work one day and they say, we don't need you anymore. All right. So yeah, tax refugees, that's something. I was like, refugees, huh? We just got. We ain't escaping war-torn countries. We just escaping high property taxes. We just going somewhere else, okay? All right, you guys. So I really hope this was helpful to you to let y'all know what's going on these tax streets. It's always interesting to read about this kind of stuff because it really doesn't hit mainstream media. And while you're looking at all of these other stuff, oh my gosh. And then wait a minute. I just thought about this. Opportunity zones. Holy cow. Okay. So when you think about, these lower property tax states and all of that, some of these states have will have what's called opportunity zones. Okay. Qualified opportunity zones, I think is the proper name. And so this is something that slid in with tax reform. And so what it is that each state can, basically submit to the federal government, these qualified opportunity zones, and people can invest their capital gains. Who's got capital gains? Wealthy people, right? Investments, right? So people can invest their capital gains into these qualified opportunity zones, right? This is real estate. And so if they invest their capital gains and they leave their money in place, for 10 years, then they can come out tax free, right? So you have qualified opportunity zones that are really in blighted low income areas where people go in, buy up the real estate, okay, move people out. And then what do? They rebuild. And then the people that live there can't afford to move back in, right? I'm telling you guys, there's a lot going on. I told you, and this was from when we started talking about tax reform from last year and whenever it started. With tax reform, the last time they did this, the top 1%, their income increased 300%. And it's stuff like this, that's why. So when you look at the combination of the lower corporate tax rate, the corporations are investing in automation. They're moving their manufacturing to lower salary areas like Thailand, like Mexico, like with the carrier deal that started way back in 2016. Those people still lost their jobs and their jobs went to Mexico. Okay. So you look at how that's going to affect overall working class people. It's not going to be cute. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to be quiet. All right. So yeah. So that's my rambling thoughts for today of, really just, building a big picture for you. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to Home Biz Tax Talk. Again, we air Monday through Friday, 9:00-ish, and you can come here to get your questions answered about your home business taxes. All right. Have a fantastic day and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.